Let's talk about harassment, intimidation, and bullying real quick. HIB, law passed about 12 years ago under then Chris Christie as our governor, with the intention of not only streamlining the reporting process for harassment, intimidation, and bullying, but then also holding those accountable. And when I say those accountable, any school employee or board member, any. So administrators, teachers, aides, custodians, and of course students. Okay, so that's a big deal, and it's been around for long enough where each district collects the data and turns it over to the county. What a shock, right? The data gets analyzed, right, and then hopefully there's some intention of taking this data and making a better school system or a better school based on what's going on. Okay, the idea is to curtail it. But the bigger piece of this, again, is to hold people responsible for their actions. Online, in person, if you're retired, you still have a cert, you still have accountability. And let's say you retired in 2019, but in 2014, you were harassing the superintendent. Or, the superintendent was harassing you, right? If that's the case and those people are no longer there or no longer in the field, they could still be held accountable for their actions. Now, why is that a big deal? Well, in today's climate, there is a copious amount of harassment, intimidation, and bullying by adults towards other adults. Online, sometimes brave enough with their username, the cowards sit behind and be the keyboard warriors. All of those folks, and even in schools where adults are going after other adults for political parties, for how they run their classrooms. I mean, you read some of these things and you're absolutely disgusted that an adult would stoop so low. You would think maybe a middle schooler would do something like that, right? But no, these are full-blown employees acting stupid and are harassing, intimidating, and bullying. Now, why am I sharing all this now? Because I believe the next Commissioner of Education is going to take a real deep dive into looking into these allegations, to look into these complaints that have been filed, especially against teachers. If teachers and school employees overall are in a harassing, intimidation, and bullying nature, we don't want you, and we sure as hell don't need you. And if you're out, we're going to make sure we keep you out. And on top of that, maybe we've got to have a conversation with the pension board to take away pension and benefits. And maybe after that, if it's criminal enough, we walk over to the Attorney General's office and we have a conversation with investigators. And that sounds harsh, but it's not harsh if you're the one that's being bullied 24/7 in person or behind a screen, right? It's not harsh if we end up seeing a student killing themselves, which has happened a number of times in this state due to bullying. It's not harsh when people aren't held accountable and it's just get a slap on the wrist because they think they have tenure protection and nothing can happen to them. That's a crock of shit, okay? These reports can be appealed, okay? The Board of Ed makes the final decision based on the superintendent's recommendation, okay? If the parents or whomever doesn't like that, they could appeal to the county suit. Then they could appeal to the state, the Board of Ed, okay? And if you don't like the Board of Ed's decision, you could go to the commissioner. And if you don't like the commissioner's decision, you're kind of out of luck at that point, okay? And again, depending on how severe and how persistent and what's being said, right? So sometimes it is going to be just a slap on the wrist and say, hey, knock it off, right? Sometimes it will be warranting, the person be terminated for their actions, okay? Sometimes it's going to be so severe that your pension's going to get revoked and your certificates are going to be revoked. And you said, oh, I'm retired. That can't happen to me. If you are in the system, okay, from 2012 on, and those accusations or what you did actually did occur, you still could be held accountable for your actions. It's a big deal, okay? Because, you could say, oh, I don't need my cert anyway. I'm retired. All right, that's fine. But then the conversation with the pension board and telling them what you did, that warrants a conversation for sure, okay? You will be held accountable for your actions. If you harass, intimidate, or bully other people, students, staff, and anyone else in between, you will be held accountable. And something interesting too for the following year. I believe the Attorney General is going to be getting many more investigations to other people harassing other people. So let's say they're out of the game, okay? They're out of education, they had nothing to do with it, and maybe they're just a parent. Well, that parent's going to get investigated, okay? Or the town crier, if you will, if they are just persistently harassing the superintendent or the board members, they could be investigated, okay? This is not a gotcha tool, this is an accountability tool. We don't need losers, scumbags, or any other terrible type of person that has an educational certificate in a school. We don't need you, we sure as hell don't want you, and you're going to be held accountable for your harassing, intimidating, and bullying nature. Onward.